Hi, this is Trolls from ADO, and in this video we're going to take a deep, beautiful, comprehensive look at our new Aura Tonal Exotic Percussion. And this collection contains over 9,100 samples of 5 different very exotic percussion instruments. You may or may have not have heard of them. They were certainly new to me when we sort of started researching it, and I've never heard about them before. And let me just show you a little picture of it, what it actually looks like. We have the Aluphone here, which is a beautiful bell-like kind of instrument. We have the Kaiser drum, which is a variation of the hang drum, but actually with a more almost emotional qualities, as if the hang drum wasn't emotional enough on its own. We also have the Tuphone, we have the Zixen, and then we have the Scaffaphone as well. And I'll go into these in deep comprehensive length. But before we get started, let me just briefly describe the user interface for you here, because there's so many things you can do. And what you're looking at is our new general user interface. It's something we're using for a variety of libraries moving forward. We realized that we've done over 200 libraries at this point, but we wanted to create a more general surface that's easier to use, so you can always just have fun right off the bat. And the way it works is that all of the articulations come preloaded. So you can see we actually recorded this library with a variety of different mallets. So we have mallet 1, mallet 2, brushes, bowed, then we have rolls, and then we have these awesome Aura recordings here, which is actually velocity-based loop recordings that really allows you to do cool things with the percussion instruments that you cannot do in the sort of normal multi-sample MIDI realm, but really make it sound real when you start combining them. We also have a step-based sequence here. We have filters down here, and down here we have microphone options. The library comes with 3 different microphones. We also have our new front-faced effects. These are super easy to use effects right off the surface, and then you got an equalizer here. And of course up here as well, you can choose stuff like pan or stereo modeling, the envelope of amps, pitch envelopes, filter envelopes, shapes, and so forth. So there's a variety of things you can do. You can actually also click here and randomize the whole thing if you want to do that. But that's just me talking. Let me just start out here by playing a little bit with our Aluphone. And if we go back here, let me just show you the picture of it. It's this beautiful device here. I don't know if device is a music instrument, but it really has a beautiful bell-like quality. You can sort of see here, and they're absolutely perfectly tuned as well. It's a gorgeous instrument. Let me just play a little bit, just a real-time improvisation here, and I'll show you how the different mallets work, and then we'll get deeper into the Aura stuff as well once we get a little deeper into the video. But I have a lot to show you here, so let's just get started. So as you can hear, we're really focused on recording different mallets. So you have mallet 1, mallet 2, you got it also with brushes and bowed. And we're talking about these guys here played with different mallet types, brushes, and bowing them, and a variety of other things. We also have the auras down here, but I'll get back to that. But let me take you through a couple of presets here for the Aluphone, and then I'll sort of describe more what you can do with this awesome user interface. And this is a good example, actually. You're listening to our Aura recordings. Let me try to play a slower one here. Let's go down here to the 8. So these are velocity-based loop recordings. So you actually have every single key of the instrument. And when you move your mod wheel up and down here, you can actually control the velocity of this individual loop here. And it's perfectly tempo synced, of course. So and of course, we also did it with different mallets. We did it twice as fast. And then for this tremolo effect, I actually used the 30 seconds here as well, so you really get that. And the entire library is recorded this way, and of course it's for every single key. So it's super neat for very fast stuff that you cannot do with multisamples. If you're trying to do that with a multisample, it's gonna be... So these guys are just awesome for that really true native percussion style, and I'll demonstrate that in great lengths. But let me show you some other presets. This next one has sort of a Twin Peaks vibe to it. Next, let me show you some of the presets from our Kaiser drums, and everything you're hearing in this video is made with all the beautiful presets. I think there's like 60 or 70 presets in the library, so there's a lot of stuff just right off the bat you can play with. Let me just take you through the core articulations here of the Kaiser drum, and then I'll show you a variety of different aspects of what you can do. This is one of my favorite instruments I've heard in a long time. It has that soothing, emotional, sort of percussive quality. It's just a very unique instrument. But one thing is the Aura sequence that I just demonstrated. Another way is that you can actually go in and sequence your own stuff as well. So if you really want to create like polyrhythmic control, you can actually use the multisamples too down here in our sequencer. So if you look down here, we have a specific rhythm. I'm just going to try to trigger it, and you can actually do chord changes as well. Obviously, we have many velocities and round robin for all these guys here. So you can pretty much do anything you want, and you can even create really awkward time signatures as well. So check this out. And if you like fat basses, this is the one. It's actually an old trick that goes back to our alien drum or hang drum. If you take the bass notes and you take them down a couple of octaves, you get the most fat, beautiful acoustic bass note. It's almost like an upright drum, if there's anything called that. Like imagine an upright bass and a hang drum combined. It's just the most awesome sound. Let me just play a little more with it here. It's just a great patch. That is about as sweet as it gets for samples. I just love it, and as you can hear, and this is really a notion of this library as a whole, everything's recorded very softly, even up to the heart dynamics, but we really paid attention to that playable range. So even when you play really softly, you still get a beautiful articulation. You can just hear those gentle fingers touching it. And speaking of that, that was played with fingers. We actually also have recorded with a soft mallet. We call them feather mallets here. Let me show you. Yeah, and there's no synthesizer playing on that one. Essentially, it's using our gate function on here, and this is neat. You can actually control the gate rhythm by clicking on the sides here. So it's a very neat little system for creating unique gates down here. And obviously, you can also control the rate of your gate. And as you can see here, we're also doing a little bit of modulation on top of things. So just super easy to use. Let me try to actually just trigger this thing again here, and then I'll play a little bit with the Kaiser drum on top of that. There's the finger articulation on top of these beautiful Aura things here. But this is just great. It's almost like a synthesizer, like. And it shows you how quickly you can actually create hybrid content with the library. It doesn't have to be super acoustic. You can actually create really beautiful, almost EDM-like things. I'll demonstrate some other patches that has sort of an EDM-like quality to it. But let me play it one more time here and then play a little bit with the Kaiser fingers on top of it. Another one of my favorite articulations is the mallet love here, where we are playing the Kaiser with very, very soft felt mallets as well, and it's hyper expressive. Let me just play a little bit here. I'm also going to add a little bit of the first Aluphone, the first articulation we played here, on top of this little piece here, and it's just, yeah, it's pure love, pure sonic love. So to answer all this in a different way, yes, you can absolutely do your Solaris thing with this, and you can actually hear that it almost burns through when you really hit the hard notes, and it's just beautiful. It's so expressive to play off the keys. Let me show you another one here, actually using our Aura samples here, just to demonstrate you also more of that sort of motion picturesque feel to it. And what I'm doing here is triggering the normal Aura articulation, but then also running it through the gator. Instead of a sort of core state here, you can start modulating more rhythms into it. It's just beautiful that way. Let me show you another little neat trick here using our step sequencer. You can actually do some really cool things in terms of building rhythms with the step sequencer as well. Isn't it just sweet? The Solaris here, as the name implies. Let's move on to another instrument here, our Scaffaphone. Let me just show you a picture of that as well. It's this beautiful guy here, and the Scaffaphone is actually an interesting instrument. Let me just move it down here so you can see. It contains of all these, and it's a little bit like the Tuphone, of all these beautiful metal tubes. And obviously you can play them in many different ways here. Again, we recorded these guys both with mallet 1, with a softer mallet, harder mallet, brushes, all the rolls. And we did our recordings for both mallet types here in 6 different tempos. So a lot to choose from. Let me just demonstrate the different mallets here, and then we'll go deeper into the presets. And that's just to demonstrate to you that everything's actually loaded, so you can actually switch articulations in real time. You can also do that on your key switches, and you can assign more down if you click on the keyboard here. But obviously it shows you a certain filter sequence that we're running through here, but also shows you the ability to filter modulate, which is why you get these wah wah kind of sounds to it. Really, really neat function, and really easy to use as well. Okay, let me trigger that sequence again and then play a little bit with the Kaiser drum on top. And the Aura samples are so immensely effective. I cannot speak highly enough about them, because one thing is what you can do with the multi samples. They're great for soloing and stuff. But if you want those sort of pulsing natural stuff where you have overlap, natural overlap of the notes between each other that you cannot get with the multi samples because they're just being stacked up. This is the way it's played in reality, and insanely useful, particularly once you start blending them. Let me try to trigger another little patch here, and then add a little bit of the Kaiser and the Aluphone on top. I think that's sonic perfection. Let me take you here to the next instrument, our awesome Zixen. And let me just play a little bit with individual patches here, so you can hear it. And let me also just show you a quick picture of it here. This is what this bad boy looks like. So these weird metal rods, and they're great both for mallets and for bowing as well. It can really eerie sound when you bow them. But yeah, let me just show you here. And as mentioned earlier on, you can actually do really cool, almost synth-like things with the library. Obviously, we have all the front-faced effects here. You got your microphones here. You got additional controls up here. We also have our chaos effects if you want to go really deep into it. And as you can see on this particular patch here, I'm actually turning the flanger all the way up and a little bit of the phaser as well. We got 2 different convolutions here as well. And obviously, and I haven't showed you that in the video so far, but we actually have a variety of additional textual convolutions down here on our former. This is awesome if you want to create more elaborate textual sort of stuff. But so many things in this library. I'm just scratching the surface here. But check this out. It sort of has that sort of more modern synthy quality to it. I call those guys water stones. I don't know why they had sort of a water stony quality to them. Let's look at the last instrument here, which is the Tuphone. This one you may be familiar with. There's a variety of variations in the world of tonal percussion that sort of looks like it. This was the original one. And again, these are round metal tubes. It has a very clear sound to it. Let me just open a patch here and try to play a little bit through the different patches here. And again, as you can see, you have all the different mallet types, brushes, bowed. So it's a consistent thing through the library with the instruments that you can actually bow. Obviously, you cannot bow a Kaiser drum, even though we tried. But yeah, check it out. Ooh, there's some nice overtones in that one. Let me show you another one here, Play Me Forever. I just love those really sort of clustery way of playing. Another cool thing, obviously I play the chord right at the same time, but another thing you can do is to play things a little more complicated. So right now I'm sort of gonna gliss go when I'm playing it, and that creates an even more complicated texture. And of course you can gate it if you want to have more rhythmic control, but I love that sort of star shimmer, a shower of little stars around you in terms of creating these more complex type of aural sort of collection, heavenly bodies of sounds.